or 14 is equal to 14. So I want you guys to do this with the number, or the equation 9 plus 7. Think about what 9 plus 7 equals, and then come up with another equation that equals the same answer. You can use the number 10 as your starting point, or you can use any number that you want. We practiced this during calendar, so this should be pretty simple and understand. It should be easy to understand for you guys. I hope so. And I don't want you to be intimidated by it. So my next one is my application problem. So remember, I read and you draw and write an equation to match. I'm not going to project the problem up here. I'm just going to read it aloud to you, because if we were in class, you guys would be sitting at your desk listening to me read it, and I would be walking around reading the problem multiple times for you as you solve it on your whiteboards. So let's try to make it as close to the classroom learning experience as possible. So let's start. With one push, Brian's toy car traveled 40 centimeters across the rug. When pushed across a hardwood floor, it traveled 95 centimeters. How many more centimeters did the car travel on the hardwood floor than across the rug? With one push, Brian's toy car traveled 40 centimeters across the rug. When pushed across a hardwood floor, it traveled 95 centimeters. How many more centimeters did the car travel on the hardwood floor than across the rug? As I'm reading, please make sure you're writing down these numbers and trying to solve the problem. With one push, Brian's toy car traveled 40 centimeters across the rug. When pushed across a hardwood floor, it traveled 95 centimeters. How many more centimeters did the car travel on the hardwood floor than across the rug? So take some time. You may need to rewind the video and listen to the word problem again. I want you to take some time, pause the video, and solve it. And when you come back, you can watch me solve. So my key word is how many more centimeters did the car travel on the hardwood floor than across the rug? That is my key sentence. Keywords, how many more, meaning what's the difference between the 40 centimeters it traveled on the rug and the 95 centimeters it traveled on the floor? So what is the difference between those two? So I'm going to create a drawing for this. R stands for rug. I know that on the rug, it traveled a total of 40 centimeters. On the hardwood floor, it traveled a total of 95 centimeters. Let me just fix my line. So this entire piece here is 95 centimeters. I'm going to align this. Right here is 40. And whatever is here will get me to my hole, which is 95. And how will I figure out my hole? I'm trying to find the difference between the two numbers, 40 and 95. And that means I need to subtract 95 minus 40. And I can do that many ways. I can do it by stacking them on top of each other. I can take out 10. Using those strategies, I can draw as well. I think that I am going to do a number bond. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Actually, I think I'm going to draw. I think that will be my easiest one. So, I can draw 95 and take away 4 tens, which is easy. So 95 looks like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I don't need to take away any ones, which are those little dots there, but I need to take away 4 of those tens. So I'm going to cross out 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oop, I noticed that I didn't draw 9 of them. Cool. I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tens, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ones. And as you see, I made a little mistake. I forgot to draw another 10, so I put that in. That's why it's always important to go back and check your work, because sometimes you may make a mistake, and even I make mistakes too. So please don't be embarrassed. We all make mistakes. Just make sure you go back and try to correct them. So I hope you got the answer 55, because that's how many more centimeters the car traveled on the hardwood floor. So speaking of centimeters, our core concept today is we are going to be working with centimeters. And let me just open up. My problem set, and we're going to practice measuring objects using the problem set, or the homework, which you guys don't get. You just get the problem set. So we're going to practice measuring objects with the centimeter cube using these photos on your homework. And remember, you can fast forward. You can fast forward this until you see that I have gotten to the actual portion of the lesson. Here we go. All right, so today you guys are going to you're going to have a similar sheet of paper for you to do for your problem set. And what you're going to practice doing, yesterday you practiced measuring some objects using multiple centimeter cubes or a ruler if you don't have one at home. But today we're going to practice measuring some other objects, but this time we're only going to use 1 centimeter cube. And I want you to think back to the different ways that we measured our objects yesterday. One mistake that we made when measuring our objects yesterday is that we left spaces between the cubes. So make sure you don't make that mistake today. And we corrected that mistake. And hopefully today when you're measuring, you don't leave spaces between your 1 cube. And I'm going to teach you how not to leave spaces. Think to yourself, how can we measure using just 1 cube? How can we measure using just 1 cube today? Okay, so if we're going to be using 1 cube today, we can mark the end point with a pencil. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to mark the end point with a pencil. And let me just import my little cube. And remember, this is my centimeter cube, which is about the same size as my pinky. And if you don't have a cube, you can use your pinky, or you can also use a ruler. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by measuring this glue here. And remember, I start at my end point. Just make this a little bit smaller until it reaches the size of my pinky. And then I'll be ready to measure. There we go. All right, so I'm going to start by placing the cube at the end of the glue. And since I'm only using 1 today, I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to mark a little line right here at the end of where my cube ends. And then I'm going to pick my cube back up, move it, starting it at the end of that marked line, and drawing another line using my pencil at the end of my cube. And I'm just going to keep going. So sometimes you may only have 1 cube, and this is the way to go when you only have 1 cube. So just move and mark. All right. So this one was about 4 cubes. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So up here, I'm going to write 4. This picture of glue is about 4 centimeters long. Okay. So when you only have 1 cube, or you're measuring with 1 cube, that is how you do it. You start at your end point, and each time you place your cube down, you mark where your cube ended, then you move. Mark and move, mark and move. Okay, let's do the next one of the lollipop. Starting at my end point, and then I'm going to mark where my cube ends. And then I'm going to move my cube, starting right where the last one ended. Be careful not to leave any spaces. Okay, just keep marking and keep moving, and you can fast forward through this until you see the end of it. And then I'm assuming that this last little spot here will be as much as it can fit. So this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. So this one is about 6 centimeters long. Okay. So that's what you're going to do today. That's another way that we can measure using our centimeters, our centimeter cube, and making sure that we get it as precise as possible, and making sure we don't leave any spaces by marking where we stopped. You're also going to have word problems on your problem set. So make sure you're reading those correctly. So what you're going to do is, after you finish this video, which it's pretty much over with, I want you to get to work on your problem set and begin measuring. If you don't have a centimeter cube, it's okay. You can use a ruler. That's totally fine. Or you can use your finger and just mark off where you stopped if you're on your pencil or on your paper if you print it off. Also, if you are using your finger to, my finger stops right here. If you're on Seesaw, you can mark where your finger stops and then just move your finger. Mark where your finger stops and just move your finger, okay? If you have any questions, just let me know during my office hours.